and we are live with Victor Antonio. And my name is Vincent Orleck. I am here in the Phoenix area. Victor's coming to you live from the Atlanta area, which, fun fact about Atlanta, which I'm sure Victor already knows, Atlanta gets more average rainfall yearly than Seattle. It gets the most average rainfall of any city in the country, which
I didn't know
that. That's the one I get people
right
with.
Right now. I could turn the camera, but it's raining right now. It's dark.
Not surprised. So see, I was right. So this is a good alternative maybe to some Super Tuesday political stuff going on that you maybe got that in the background, but you want to check out Victor, see what he has to say. The reason why
real solutions for America.
Victor for president. Victor.
No.
And yes, you should. So Victor has a new show coming out, but we're going to talk about that in a second. It's on Spike TV. It's called Life or Debt. I wanted to give him a proper introduction because for those of you who are not familiar with Victor, which may not be too many of you in this room, Victor is a very accomplished man. And I've had the privilege to talk to him, get acquainted with him, and absolutely learn a lot of things from him, from his talks and from his appearances at our company events for the company I work with, which is Plexus Worldwide. I want to thank you guys all for subscribing and joining in. Like I said, this is live right now. The replay will be available in the future going forward. One thing I'd like you guys to do that are in here, there's a little tweet button over on this side that's connected. If you're connected through Twitter, hit that tweet button so we can share this out to people. Let them know that we got this going on. We got a good crowd in here. Totally appreciate you guys. Let your friends know that Victor's on, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook. So Victor has held a number of roles in his life. Product manager, director of sales. Let me know if I miss any. Vice president of international sales, president of global sales and marketing, and now keynote speaker extraordinaire and reality TV star.
This is an important one. CEO of a high tech company.
CEO. That's up there. Absolutely. That is it.
And just your basic run of the mill good.
You've written a bunch of books. You've written 12 books,
right,
at last count. Okay. Over 20 programs for sales videos.
Correct.
So I'm just setting the tone here. You share the stage with a lot of CEOs, a lot of high profile business people. But you own the stage. If anyone that has seen you talk, you own the stage for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why you do what you do. So everyone, this is Victor Antonio. He's going to be the host of Life or Debt on Spike TV, premiering March 13th, where he's going to be helping families out of financial trouble, kind of running their family finances in a business manner.
Right. Right.
So, and he's going to talk all about that. We're going to definitely talk about that. Victor, first of all, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. And to everybody out there, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Can you, I know I gave that a little intro, but can you please expound on your background, where you come from and how you've come up to be where you are today? Okay.
I'll try to give you the short story. So my family's originally from Puerto Rico. They moved to Chicago in the late 50s. I joke about this on stage, but we were poor. Food stamps, government cheese, powdered milk. We lived near the Humboldt Park area, which is not too far from Cabrini Green, so you can kind of get an idea of the area.
I've heard of that, yeah.
It was a dangerous area at the time, and so I was very fortunate to get out. My mother really pushed me to go to college. So went to college, got an engineering degree, electrical engineering degree. That was the beginning of the change, I think, for me. I started being more exposed to, everything outside the neighborhood. And so, got the engineering degree, got the MBA, went to work for corporate America, started out as an engineer. I did it for the money, hated it, right, type of thing. And so I started looking around for what I wanted to do. And when I found sales, it was like, man, that's what I need to be doing. And so
that's the thing.
The sales manager's like, you find your hyper pad and you take off. You just find your thing, right? And so sales was my thing. And then I got different opportunities. And then I got offered a CEO position for a high-tech company out of Virginia. And then May 9th, 2001, 3:48 p.m., May 9th, 2048 p.m., I made the call to the CEO and says, I basically said I quit. And I think that was the beginning for me when I just kind of said, I don't want to do the corporate thing anymore. There's nothing wrong with it. I just said, I want to do my own thing, which is I wanted to write books. I wanted to reach back into the neighborhood. And I started speaking at high schools, really trying to convince kids to go to college, right? Started doing the college market, teaching kids basically to stay in college. You need that. An interesting fact that just came out not too long ago was that if you don't have a college degree, you'll make on average through your career about $1 million. If you have a college degree, you'll make on average between $2 to $3 million, depending on your profession in your career. So, that was part of the message I was preaching. So I was helping kids, and I got a chance to work with a lot of people. And one day I said, you know what? I need to go back to corporate America now and do the whole motivational thing. And then I started adding the sales thing. And that's how I got into back into speaking again. And like everybody else, by the way, I was asked what got me started in speaking. I joined Toastmasters, which is a organization. It's in your area. And so I joined Toastmasters, and that's when I realized I had, I humbly say this, that I had a gift for speaking. And so I really wanted to develop that speaking. And if you look online, by the way, you'll see my first speech. Horrible speech. The first one was...
Which one? How do we find it?
The first motivational speech or something. You'll find it. Okay,
that's awesome.
I posted it only because I wanted to show people that you could really not be good at something and develop the skill and become much better. So that's a great...
Yeah, that's an amazing tool. I mean, honestly, that's a super useful tool to be able, even for you, to be able to go back and look, because you're still going to develop more over the next years. I mean, you're not where you will ultimately be even now.
There's some great speakers out there. There's fantastic speakers out there.
One thing you just mentioned that I think I want to ask you about, because it's something I'm always curious about. You mentioned the college degree part, where the certain amount of earnings. If you have a college degree, you typically earn 2 to 3 times more than if you don't. Do you think that's still the case now, or it will continue to be the case in the future?
It is still the case, but let's add some texture to that conversation, right? Because if you say it's either this or that, you're wrong,
right?
If you have a college degree, the numbers are still there. Even today, I don't care what the media says, the numbers are there.
Agreed. Yeah.
Come with a little asterisk at the at the bottom, that if you get a degree that is like, I don't know, and somebody's going to get mad at me when I say this, but art history, okay? And there's not a lot of people hiring for art history, then guess what? You're not going to make a lot of money. Now, granted, there are a few positions in art history where you can make a lot of money, but those positions are far and few in between. So it's not an absolute that if you get a college degree, you'll earn a lot of money. Just like most people found out is that the majority of millionaires in the U.S. don't have a college degree.
Yeah.
Right? And
especially now. But
that also comes with this little asterisk, that if you don't have a college degree, you better pick something that's going to generate a lot of money for you, because if you're wrong, it's going to go wrong. So I hate people who get into the argument about you should never have a degree because it's not worth it. That's not true. Or the people that say you should have a degree because it's, you get the idea. It's neither this or that. It's really the thing you pick.
It's totally what you do with it. I mean, you could go and get a PhD and then go live in the woods. I
know high school dropouts who are millionaires.
Yep.
But I also know a lot of people who have college degrees who are broke.
Yep.
So it really depends on what you choose and what you go after.
And you mentioned, I mean, in this the last 10 years, right, with the rise of social media and all the VC money that's available and the angel funding and all that, angel investors, look at how many the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, and that they literally dropped out of college and
I think Bill Gates
started their own company. Bill Gates absolutely dropped. I mean, it goes back to him, and that was in the early 80s, late 70s even.
Yeah, like I said, it's neither this or that. It's what we pick and what we focus in on.
I totally agree. I
like to make it more complicated than that, but you know what I mean? It's like if you're good at something and it adds value to society, people will pay you the money if you market it correctly. Yeah. And so one of the biggest lessons I've learned, and this came out many years, let me give you some numbers. Let's put some real numbers here, because I think this is
it.
And I share these numbers not to brag, but just to show you, the type of decisions you have to make sometimes. So when I left corporate America, I was president of sales and marketing, and my base salary was $250,000 a year. Base salary. When you add commissions and all those goodies on top of that, like stock options, it was pretty nice, right? Mm-hmm. And by the way, lost a lot of it when the market tanked. And so when I quit, that was a lot of money. So the first year I decided to become a speaker, and this is always a fascinating story. By the way, there's a documentary called The Motivator. It's an hour film about me, and it follows me, and I talk about all this stuff we're talking about now. But when my first year, so I quit, I'm going to become a speaker. I'm going to write books. I'm going to become a speaker. A lot of people do that, right? They just want to have the dream. They have the message to deliver to the world. And my first year as a speaker, I made $17,000. Like that. I mean, it was like, and it was like, what did I do? I was having like this attack almost, like, what did I do? I just left this high-paying job, and this is only $17,000. So that's why it irritates me when I hear other speakers sell their program that says you can make $1 million in 1 year. Why? Right? And so then the second year I made about $56,000, right? Crawling back. And I remember one guy said to me, and I remember his name, but he said something interesting. He asked me, Victor, what business are you in? I said, I'm a speaker. He goes, no, you're not. I go, what business are you in? I go, I don't know. I'm a consultant. He goes, no, I'm a trainer. He goes, no. I said, okay, you tell me, what business am I in? He said, you're in the marketing business first. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. Because what he was saying is you can have the best product or service in the world, but if nobody knows you exist, it doesn't matter. Right. So unless you become great at marketing, whether it's through social media, direct marketing, networking, the whole bit, if you don't become good at marketing, you're not going to be successful. You're not. And so I think people who have a talent and then can wrap it around in a nice marketing package are the ones that are going to succeed, Vincent, in my opinion. Those are the people that make it happen.
How do you, the people that maybe are not, marketing experts, let's say, but they have the business acumen. Mm-hmm. What do they do?
Look, I graduated with an MBA. Let me repeat that. I graduated with an MBA, and I still didn't know how to market. Mm-hmm. Because here's the problem. The education system is set up where they teach you about money, but they don't teach you how to make money.
How to make
it's a real difference, right? Yeah. I can tell you about return on investment, diminishing return on investments, break-even points. I can give you all the accounting jargon you want. But having to go out there and hustle and make money, that's a different story.
It's a different story.
And I think anybody can become a marketer. I think I had to learn the process, whether it was through, get a website going, learn how to do search engine optimization, use some, pay-per-click, search engine marketing, and again, social media, whatever it took. Right. I believe I have over 800 videos on YouTube. And that's because I constantly produce videos, that add value. And those videos basically drive traffic to my website. Yep. Vincent, I haven't made a cold call in 5, 6, 7 years, maybe.
Thank you.
I haven't called anybody. So everybody's talking about prospecting. I don't prospect. I create enough value online where people want more and they go to my website. I don't spend a dime on marketing, and it just comes my way. But you have to create the value first. I call it that gravitational marketing, where you pull people in, because nobody wants to answer the phone. Nobody's returning my calls. Nobody's returning the emails. But when you create value online with these platforms, it's fantastic.
Uh, it's so funny you say that. I mean, I totally agree with that. And the whole idea behind, some of the leaders in the marketing world, and specifically the social media marketing world, like the Jay Bears of the world and Gary Vaynerchuk's of the world, that will talk about that, providing that value. And I think there's still that, maybe not a stigma, but there's still a reluctance on the part of maybe the C-suite at some level, or companies just in general, to provide things for free, to put it out there on, say, the website or social media, because they feel like they're giving it away. They're giving it away, and now they've lost money, they've lost a sale. But just like you're saying, what you're doing is you're providing value to people. Sure. And so you're giving something to them, so they're more likely to develop a relationship with you, whether it's in real life or like literally an online relationship, watching your videos. They feel like they know you, especially someone like you who's very personable. You're very approachable, and watching your videos, you can totally see the authenticity, how genuine you are.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it comes through. And I saw that, at our convention where I met you 2 years ago. You spoke, but I also got a chance to talk to you a little bit backstage. And I mean, it was you. I mean, it's you on stage, it's you off stage. Yeah, and if that's not the case for people, the people that are not like that are failing.
Right.
Going forward, they're going to fail. Because you can't fake it anymore. The whole fake it till you make it, yes, but you can't fake who you are anymore. You have to be genuine.
By the way, thank you again. I've seen that a lot. I think we talk about the word authenticity, because I'm all about being authentic.
It's a buzzword. I'll admit.
But it's one of those things I live by. It's kind of a WYSIWYG, right? What you see is what you get. There it is. And I think when you create, when we talk about giving value, people always, at the beginning, people are saying, why are you giving away your videos for free? And that's because, I believe in that philosophy of freemium, right? Freemium is when you give it away for free. How did Mark Zuckerberg make his money? He gave Facebook away for free, and he gets all the money on the backside with advertisement. And so the same thing holds here. How can I give something away for free and then figure out a model where I can recoup money on the backside? See, here's what people don't understand. I give all my books away for free in all my videos. So I had a guy said, why don't you sell your books? Here's simple math. Simple math. Anybody get this? What would you rather have? I can sell you an ebook, right, for $10 and sell 1,000 of those and make $10,000. Or I can attract a bunch of people to my website and they book me once and I make $10,000 on a booking. What would you prefer?
Right. Well, and don't forget, and the email list too.
Correct.
The email list, because they're putting that on your website. They're putting their email, and now you're in constant contact with them. Not to put the company name out there, but
MailChimp.
That's MailChimp. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch, but you have it now. You're building an email list, and now people subscribe to you because they want to hear from you. They want to see your emails.
By the way, I started building my list late. I mean, I was late to the party on that one. I could have had a bigger list. So if you're launching a website and you're watching this, get the list. The reason I like MailChimp, and I'll just push them a little harder, because you get the first, I think, 1,000 contacts for free, and as reach that point. But they're both good companies, so either one.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a few out there. I know a lot of people use MailChimp. So now we've got the background. We set the stage, right? So tell us about how the show happened, because I remember when we were at our convention, either you were talking about the motivator, or it was coming out at that time or something. I remember that part, but then the show has been, I mean, it premieres the 13th of March, Sunday night, right. But it's been in production for like over a year, or you were doing production like a year ago, starting, and it's been going for a little while, right?
May, so March, April, May. May will be 2 years since I started the process. 2 years.
Gotcha.
You were real close. And so what happened was, by the way, we did the filming like 6 to 8 months ago or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so we had 10 families. And the format of the show is that we spend 1 week with the family, right? and then we come back in 90 days to see how they're doing. So you'll see the whole A to Z, end to end in one episode. And it's
great.
Really good episodes. Those are really good episodes. The first one is it's one of my favorites, the one they're launching it with. What happens, so let's take a step back. Let's tie it all back together to social media and marketing, right? And so about almost 2 years ago, I was checking in, listen to this, into Las Vegas, because I believe, was it Las Vegas or Dallas? It was a Plexus event. And I was literally—
it was Dallas, probably.
Yeah, it was Dallas. Yeah. I was checking into the hotel. I thought it was Las Vegas for some reason, but it was Dallas probably. And I remember checking into the hotel, and I get a call, right? And it was a gentleman, his name is Paul. I won't give you his last name, but Paul calls, and he says, hi. And I'm like, who's this? He says, Paul. I said, and in short, he says, we're a studio from California, and we're looking for a host for a TV show, and we'd like to talk to you, right? And I remember checking him. I'm literally at the desk when he calls, right? And I said, because in my mind, I get a lot of calls from people who says, hey, Victor, let's do this. Hey, so to me, it was just another one of those calls. And I said, dude, I'm checking in right now. Just call me back in 15 minutes. He's like, okay. Really,
you dealt with him. That was it.
Yeah. And so he called me back 15, 20 minutes. We have a conversation. And then he says, okay, I think our production, the owners of the studio would like to talk to you. And it's called Ugly Brother Studios. If you go to uglybro.com, and these are two brothers who are twins, basically, and I guess one of them is ugly, but we don't know which one. But it's uglybro.com. So then I think I talked to you. I think it was they're the Duffys, Tim and Mike Duffy. Great people. Love those guys. I think it was Mike. And so Mike says, hey, here's kind of what we're looking for. Let me just chat with you. And so we had a great conversation. He kept pushing me, right? And I think the funniest part of the conversation was, well, we need somebody who can go big. And I go, what does that mean? And he says, well, sometimes, in order to change behavior, you really have to kind of confront people. He says, do you have a problem with that? To which I said something to the effect, I'm Puerto Rican. I came from the hood. I said, no, I don't have a problem with that at all. And so I remember that started the debate. After the conversation, I said, well, I think we want to fly you out to California for a screen test. Right. So let me just stop here before we get to the screen test. I found out later that how they found me was my videos on YouTube.
Of course.
That's what they found. They found the videos on YouTube. They found the one I call the best motivational speech ever, which is one of my more popular videos. And then they saw one of my Skype interviews. Yes. Mm-hmm. And he said it was the Skype interview with a one-on-one, just like we're having. It was a Skype interview that prompted the call. He says, you were really terse in that interview. And I think because I was in Minnesota and it was like 30 below zero and I was miserable up there.
The weather.
The in-laws. And so I was real terse with whoever I was talking to. And so back to the conversation. So we do a screen test where they basically said there's two other people who are interviewing for this position. Now I'm thinking nothing's going to happen. I got to be honest. I'm thinking, whatever. And so they said, we're going to fly you out, do a screen test maybe. I said, okay, whatever. Just let me know. And 2 weeks go by, nothing. I'm thinking, yep, see, that's what I thought. A little time after that, I think a week or two, boom, I get the email, you're flying out. And so I'm flying out. I fly out to California, and my wife's reminding me, just be yourself, because I'm kind of like nervous. I've never done a screen test. I don't know what to expect. But all I wanted, this is the funny part, Vincent, this is truly funny, and we still laugh about this day with Mike and his brother Tim. All I kept saying is, I'll fly out as long as I get a copy of the video. Because I'm thinking video for my website, right? Or video for my channel. That's all I want. I just want the video. That's all. So whatever the screen test is, whatever. And so I fly out, and then I find out two other guys are actually competing for the position. One guy was actually on The Apprentice. And so I'm thinking, they're going to pick him. Good-looking guy, has got the look, everything. They're going to go with him. But I still just want a copy of the video. And so I was third up. In other words, each person had to go into the house and spend 2 hours with that family. You were given no instructions, basically. You were given guidance as far as what you can say, can't say, and talk about, right? But we were not getting any, that was it. So the two guys went up, and I was in the afternoon, last guy up. And all they give you is their financials. So all I have, Vincent, is a sheet of paper going in there. And they're like, deal with it, Victor. And so I go in there, and to make a long story short, I think the moment of truth where they kind of go, is when the husband, I was doing a one-on-one with him, and he was giving me his business numbers because he had his own personal business, and the numbers didn't make sense. And he kept repeating them, and I go, it doesn't make sense. Finally, I just said, give me a piece of paper, somebody. And they're like, no, just keep talking. I was like, no, damn it, give me a piece of paper. I need a piece of paper. So I started writing numbers down, and when I finished, I turned it around, and I remember I slid it back over to the guy, the husband, and I said, this makes no bleep sense to me. I said, you don't know what you're talking about. And as soon as I said that to the guy, it's like you can hear a pin drop in that room. And I think that's kind of when he said, he's different. I was getting irritated with the guy because he was just like BSing me. You ever have somebody just talk in circles, just try to BS you?
Yeah. And I guess the Apprentice guy didn't do that, huh?
No, I just lost it. I just kind of lost it out. And then I talked to the wife. I kind of lost it a little bit on her too, because of some of the spending they were doing and putting their kids at risk. But because I didn't care, I just wanted the video. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I remember leaving there, and they're like, we think you did well. And I'm like, great, just give me a copy of the video, right? And then they're like, okay. Went to the airport about a month later. I guess they called me, and this time I know for sure I was in Las Vegas. And they basically said, we look at all three, I guess, sizzle reels, tapes, whatever. And, I think we're going to submit yours as the primary. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Still thinking, okay, well, great. When are you guys sending me a copy of the video? That's all I keep saying to the guy. He's like, we're going to get that to you. And so I said, when would you know? He said, 48 hours. And so they're going to show it to the VP at Spike, and they did. And about 48 hours later, they said, well, we got a green light for the pilot, right? And so we did the pilot. By the way, it became real when, as soon as I said, what does that mean, I have a pilot? He says, well, it means you got to go get a lawyer. And that means, so I had to go get a lawyer. And they sent me, Viacom is the holding company. And when you get, and now when you have a contract in your hand that has a 5-season option, and you're like, wow, okay, this becomes very real right now. That was the first moment of, oh, this is serious. You're actually going to put me on TV type of thing, at least for the pilot. So we fast forward, we do the pilot. We film it in Orlando, a great family, the Martinez family. They see the pilot, and without airing it, they also did some, what do you call the, when you just group testing.
Mm-hmm. Group, like a focus group?
Yeah, that's it, focus group. And they did a focus group test, and the results came back really high. And so they're like, order 10 episodes. And we just finished those 10 episodes, literally November or something like that.
That's crazy.
And so now it's getting ready to launch, and I'm going to be on TV. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to see my commercials coming up. I saw it, by the way, 2-3 days ago. I'm in a hotel. I put it on Spike, and I go, let me see if I see my commercial. And then I get 2 hours go by, and I was on the computer, didn't see. I'm like, and then sure enough, bam, it comes on. It's like, wow, there it is. So it's kind of surreal. It's really surreal.
I can imagine. So that was, I was definitely curious about that.
Taking so long with the story.
No, you're fine. And I see, like Heather said over here, it's so fun to hear the backstory. Can't wait to watch. Like that's always the type of stuff. Like you always kind of want to know, like how did they end up? How'd that person end up getting that show, or where that idea come from, or you know what I mean? So that's super interesting.
The idea, what I love about the show, and this is going to sound so cliche, but it is true, is that Tim and Mike Duffy, the ones who own the production studio, and basically the way it works is that you don't deal with Spike directly, you deal with a production studio, and the studio actually deals with Spike. They sell their shows to Spike. That's how it works. And so Mike and Tim Duffy are both family men. And so they come from that core where they really want to make an impact. This is not a show about ridiculing people, belittling people, and making them look stupid. It's really about trying to help people and telling the hero story. Here's the before, here's the after, here's what we did. And during the filming of, some of these episodes, we had some moral dilemmas. Mm-hmm. Moral dilemmas of what we could show and what we could not show. And we had some real conversations in the background about, no, let's not do that. Let's not make them look like that. And so you'll see that it's not a make people look bad show. If that's what you're expecting to see, it's not. But you will see some very tense moments in the show where, getting people to change their behavior is tough. It's tough.
I would imagine so. I know I probably fall into that group of, not quite being super fiscally responsible. My wife is in this Blab, and she'll probably speak up at some point. Yeah.
By the way, the nicest compliment I got is that we teach these families how to run their family like a business. Mm-hmm. Nicest compliment I got over and over again is that everybody on the set, because it's a big production. I mean, at any point we have about 15, 20 people, right? And so at one point or another, somebody on the set said, Victor, this is the first time I'm on the show that I'm actually learning while I'm filming. You know what I mean? And they're going back home and they're having those hard conversations with their spouses. And they would come back and tell me, after that second show, I really had a conversation with my wife, or went back with my husband. And so I thought that was really cool. That's when I kind of knew we had something special, when it was affecting the production crew.
That's fun. Yeah. It totally makes sense. I mean, they're around it all those hours and talking to you and hearing what's going on. That totally makes sense. So it's cool to hear that. It sounds like there's some things that you guys probably did leave out at times because of you didn't want to go like over the top and pin people down and that sort of thing. So
you have to kind of remind yourself, these are real people with real issues, and you just have to be sensitive to that, but at the same time detached from it, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. But so that's the balance though, right? Like, how do you, because there's a production company and they're doing it for the spike, right? So they're putting the show together. How do they know, have they dealt with them enough where they know like what they can put in a show that's going to be attractive enough for the network?
Well, several things there, so you have to imagine there's this big trailer out there in the parking lot, right? And the trailer is the master control room where you got big screens. You can see all the cameras, what's going on. In there is a gentleman by the name of Tim Warren, right? Boomerang Productions. He was what they call the showrunner, the executive producer, right? And he's basically the ringleader. And so then you got the co-executive producer, which was Meredith Prunkert. And those two together are trying to figure out, first of all, where to position cameras all the time and where's the story going. Remember, this is unscripted TV. So, look, here's how it works out. So the day before or a week before, well, let me tell you how we find the families first.
Yes.
Families apply, right? A company called Cast Iron Productions. So they put it out on social media. That's how you find these families, right? The families then have to go through a Skype interview, right? They go through the Skype interview. Then the next step, and again, these are just general steps. The next step is after the Skype interview, they still like the family, like they have a story and they really need help. Then the next step is we send somebody on site to interview the family now personally to verify everything they said on the paperwork or through Skype, right? And then after that, they have to take some type of psychological test, right? Whatever. I mean, so there's a filtering process that goes through.
Sure.
So now we finally get the family. Now, the one person that went there, interviewed them, is also the person that's with us on set, okay? So that's kind of the liaison. And so the liaison arrives a day or two before and is there talking to the family, right? Okay, here's what's going to go down. Now, we don't tell them anything about what's going to happen because we treat every family differently, and I'll explain that in just a bit. So by the time we land, it's one of those things where we know who the family is, we have a good background. So the day before or the night before, we sit down, big round table, right? All of us. And then Tim Warren. By the way, Tim Warren was the guy that helped produce Bar Rescue. Yeah. So he knows the business, and he was, to me, he was such a great help, man. Because I was such a noob when it came to TV. I didn't know what I was doing, and so he really guided me, pushed me, prodded me. There were times I didn't like him, but then we became synchronized. We got in sync, and a great relationship, and I owe a lot to him for a lot of the stuff that you see in the show. It was because of his guidance. And by the way, in the studio, also in the master control room, you have the Duffys. One of the two brothers was always there, and that he was always the good sounding board, for what was going to go left or right. So bottom line is, the night before, here's the bottom line. So we have an outline of what we think the story is going to be, right? So we're going to go see Vincent and his wife. They're $30,000 in debt. They just filed for bankruptcy. They can't do it again. We find out that Vince is an under-earner. He should be earning more. Okay, so let's convince maybe Vince to get a new job, right? And then let's restructure the debt and figure out how to run this thing like a business, right? Here's what typically happens. So we got a master plan, right? We show up the first day, and then Victor shows up on the scene. Something always happens when the host shows up. All of a sudden, stuff comes out that the liaison didn't know about. Well, they never, because I was like, goes, Victor, they never mentioned that. Well, what? And then the more I dig, the more I find. And this is stuff that wasn't in,
Of course.
So what happens? Now it's like you just throw the outline away.
Yep.
First day's done. That night, we do the same thing over again. And that's where the executive producer and the producer just really get together and say, okay, now where do we go with this family? And so we sit there and we talk about, where's the direction of this story going? Where do we want to take it? Because, you can't do 20 stories. Because a lot of people have a lot of issues. So we try to find what I call that high leverage activity. What is that one thing they're doing that's affecting everything else negatively? Do you know what I mean? Instead of trying to attack the 20 heads of the Hydra, you figure out what is the one thing that they're doing wrong or two things, and then focus on that. And that seems to resolve everything else. And for every family, it's different.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So
it's a heavy show. I mean, it's a
well, yeah. It sounds amazing. So I mean, before doing that, you were not you're not like a TV person. You haven't been in TV all your life or anything. You haven't worked in that industry before. So before a year and a half, 2 years ago, you were kind of like, you'd watch TV and see reality TV. You're probably like the rest of us, where you're like, oh, that looks scripted. Oh, that looks kind of fake. And then now you're thrust into it.
Yep.
And it sounds like, from what you're telling me, like the show is, I mean, there's some parts that are maybe like not scripted, but and not staged. That's not the right word either. But they're set up because there's going to be a scene of some sort, right? I mean, you're gonna be in a place at this time, and all the parties are there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's almost like there's a structure, right? That day, here's the structure. And then as soon as something goes left on us, we're like, okay, what do we do? Do you know what I mean? You got to take down the tent and do something else. So as far as scripted, no. I think there's, when you go through the process, like I said, every family is so different. And you're going to see that the basic philosophy of the show is to first do an assessment, right? You go in there. Dude, when I say I am in your business, dude, I am in your business. And that's the hardest thing. That was the toughest thing for me to do, is that when you pull back the curtain on people's lives, you're not going to find what you like sometimes. And I'll just say in all 11 episodes, it's always disappointing what you find. And it's not that these are bad people. It's not that. They're like average Americans. It slowly happened over time. And so I'm like the devil that shows up at your door and then says, why? And then I'm the guy that points out things. But what about that? What about that? And so that was one of the hardest things, Vincent. It was really, you're stepping into people's lives, and, they've given you permission. So that also comes with great responsibility, right? And so you can't abuse that. And so you want to push them, but you don't want to make them look bad. We got to get to the bottom of it, so I got to push you. And so you try to find, it's a balancing act with each family. And so the first part is to assess where they're at. And by the way, when I talk about personal finances, realize that finance is really 20% of the show. Personal, their decision-making, their behavior, their attitude, how they just make decisions on a daily basis. That's where the real problems are at. So then we got to figure that out. Then we put them through a test. We give these families like an assignment, right? And what we're trying to do is just stress the hell out of them. Because everybody's really nice to me when I get there, right? Yes, Victor. Of course, Victor. Yes, we can do that, Victor. But then we said, okay, really? Because it's funny, when I show up, everybody's nice all of a sudden. Everybody gets along, right? There's no problem. But, I've seen the video, the interviews, so I know there's problems. So what we do is we put them through a test. And in this test, it really stresses them out. They have to work together, and that's when the real personalities start coming out. By the end of day one and by day two, you really start seeing the personalities, and they fight back. And I tell you, they fight back. I mean, I've been F-bombed a few times, and it's like, whoa, there it is. But, and so I think, but when I get there, for the first, I guess, 4 days, they just hate me. They really do. Because of course, I have to remind myself, I'm not here to be your friend. This is not why I'm here. I'm taking time out of my day to come to help you. So tell me what's going on. And when they lie to me or try to hide something from me, I just flip out and go the other way. And so, but then when we leave, we give them a blueprint. We restructure their family to run like a business, right? We give them a blueprint, we give them some tools, and we give them some resources. So keep in mind that depending on the family, I can have, if I have an accounting issue, people don't know where the money's at, I bring in a forensic accountant. If you have a business that went bankrupt, but yet you're not explaining to me and you don't know where the numbers are at, you're having trouble explaining it to me, I bring in a bankruptcy lawyer, or I bring in a foreclosure lawyer. If you have a business, I bring in a business expert. So I bring in all these resources throughout the show to help me figure out what's what. And so I really rely on them to kind of guide me, and that's kind of cool.
So in a sense, would you kind of call yourself almost like a project manager in a way?
Yeah, to some extent. Yeah, you're like a project leader, if you want to put it in corporate sense, is that this is the direction we're going. All right, and then you have to go in there and just figure it out first, and then figure out what tools you need. I think it's almost like, figure out what toolbox you need, what's in the toolbox. And so every family's different, but it's quite the ride. And
it sounds like it. It sounds like it. It sounds
so great families too. It's just that, it's that whole thing about, remember that thing about how do you kill a frog? If you throw a frog into a pot of boiling water, it jumps right back out. But if you put it in a pot of medium lukewarm water and then turn up the heat so it doesn't discern it, it eventually submits, resigns, and dies. What I think happens over time is that people, to me, the water is the debt, and the heat's being turned up with more debt, and they give up. They just go, God, it's too much debt, Victor. And now the husband or the wife are not talking to each other because every time they talk about money, they just kind of clash, right? So now it's better not to talk about it, and bam, the elephant in the room is born. Yeah. And it gets worse. The elephant gets bigger, and then eventually they call me.
So let's touch on with the show itself, the kind of the a little bit of the juicy stuff. Nothing too crazy, but and you don't have to say which episode or who it was or anything. But so what was like the toughest moment, toughest person you had to deal with?
Toughest person. Okay, so the toughest person I had to deal with was the guy.
Which is the one when we watch the show. When we watch the show, we're gonna be like,
you're gonna know.
So, that person.
The husband was an MMA fighter.
Okay.
And so let's just say I really upset his wife 2 times. Right? He was upset, like a couple of F-bombs here and there, and just walk, and he's like, that's 2 times he's upset my wife. There better not be a third. I'm thinking this guy's gonna kill me at any moment. But he, it's funny how he was really one of the nicest people I've ever met. But first 2 days, didn't want to see me. He just didn't want to see me. He wanted to ground and pound me from like day one. And I'm like, okay, insurance is good, health insurance is good, life insurance is good. I think we're good. And so, but so each family has their own toughness. You know what I mean? Because toughness isn't a matter of physical toughness. Sometimes it's stubbornness. They're just stubborn. They don't want to listen. You know what I mean? They just don't want to listen. And so that becomes difficult. My favorite moment, if I can highlight a moment, I won't tell you the episode, but you'll see it. There was one family we were working with, and they just kept yeah-yeahing me the first day. Yeah. And they owed their parents a lot of money. We're talking 6 digits worth of money, okay? That's a lot of money. And they hadn't made a payment to their family in 2 years. And there were other things going on, but they were like yes to me. Everybody yeah to me. By that I mean is that you need to change. Yeah, Victor, we get it. You need to cut your costs. Yeah, Victor, we get this. You need to do this. Yeah, I know, Victor. And I'm like, okay, if you get all this, why am I here, right? So, and then I asked them about paying back their parents, and they said, no, we haven't made a payment. And I had it in my head already earlier in the day. So we set up this deal where at the end of the day, day one, we can tell whether we're connecting with them or not. I can tell whether they're feeling, you know what I mean? Really taking this seriously or just playing along because it's TV. And so when they're playing along like it's TV, it really irks me because we're not there for the TV. And so that evening around 6 o'clock, I said, walk with me outside, right? So they walk with me outside. And I want you to imagine this if you can. They both walk outside. They're facing the street, right? They're looking that way. I'm facing the house. You with me so far?
Yeah.
Now, and so I say to them, I said, all right, I want you to pretend that instead of your family, you owe that money to the bank, and I'm the bank. Okay? You owe 6 figures, I'm the bank. He says, here's what I want. I want 500 from you, the husband, and I want 500 from you as good faith money that you're going to pay me back. Do you have the $500? They're like, no, we don't have. I said, are you sure you don't have the $500? They're like, well, no, Victor, we don't have the $500. This and that. They start going on and on about they don't have the 500. I said, fine. If you don't have the money, then I need to take something. And so a big moving truck drives up.
Oh, no way.
And what happens after that? Well, you'll just have to watch the episode. Let's just say fireworks.
Oh, man.
It was intense. It was intense. What happened after that, it's like it just got crazy. And so, but believe it or not, when I got there the next day, they weren't smiling anymore. They didn't think it was a big joke anymore. And they were like, I mean, if looks could kill, I would have been dead 10 times over. But you know what, Vincent? They finally woke up. They finally woke up that this is real. And wait till you see what else happens in that episode. That episode is so loaded with this and that, left and right. And what happened after we left is nobody's going to believe it. Everybody's going to think it's a setup. But what happened after we left, it's unimaginable, but it happened. All I can tell you is that I always have a phrase in the series that says, you're one crisis away from financial disaster. And that crisis hit. And wait till you see what that crisis was. It's pretty intense. That's what makes.
And that's. Yeah, that's definitely, it makes sense because that's usually the type of thing. It's like an intervention. I mean, you're hitting them with like, okay, now it's like you said, it's real, and now you have to deal with it. You can't just keep pushing it off anymore.
And the toughest part is finding your way in to their brains and their hearts, whatever it may be, because when you get there, they think it's a joke still. It's reality TV. I just want to be on TV. Or Victor's going to show up and he's going to wave a magic wand and give me a lot of money to solve all my problems. No, that doesn't happen. And once you get past that and they start realizing, no, you have change. And that's when they're like, whoa, this is more than we, bargained for. Yeah. I think the majority of people had that. Like, this is not what we expected. We're like, yeah, welcome to Life or Debt. Yeah, this is a different type of show for different people. So it's an intense show. But again, at the core is getting back to Mike and Tim Duffy's philosophy is how do we help families sincerely? Yeah. Not to look bad. We really want to help families turn around. And by the way, just to let you know, out of the 11 episodes we did, 10 I put in the win column. 10, that's not bad.
But there was one that did not maybe end.
See, I don't know if I want to call it a loss anymore because even though they didn't do all the things we wanted them to do, they started turning slightly. They started reducing their debt. But if they had stuck with our plan, they would have been so much better off, but they didn't. And that's okay. It happens. But that's reality. Like I said.
Well, and that lends reality to it because then it's like, well, okay, if it's a reality TV show, you do 11 episodes and all 11 are happily ever after. But when there's one or a couple or whatever that didn't make it, or they're not, they're just not quite on the path they should be, or it's not that they failed, but you can see that it is real. Yep. You see that it's real and that it just isn't hunky dory for everybody.
No, and each one has its own magnitude of success. You're going to see some like basic success stories where they just got back to zero debt, right? Yeah. Or they started earning a little more money. Now they can cover their payments. So this is not, there's nothing exaggerated here about, Victor showed up, 90 days later, they're making $1 million. No, it's not. It's none of that. It's really real stuff. It's real world stuff, man.
It's actionable. It sounds like it's educational. It's stuff that's, you know, sounds like a show that someone that is in the same situation might be able to watch it and be like, oh, I can maybe implement some of those strategies in my own life, and maybe not solve every problem, but it's going to be helpful.
When I showed at my family's house in Chicago, big high five to my family, my peeps in Chicago, my family. They saw the pilot. I had a private screening just for them.
Awesome.
So yeah, they were happy about that. And so the reaction was one of two things. I'm glad I watched it, one, or the other reaction was, I know somebody who needs to watch this. Those were the two reactions.
Absolutely.
And so I think you're going to get a lot of the latter. You know, I know somebody who needs to see this show.
Yeah. It sounds awesome. You know, I think I've told you kind of the whole way, and everyone that's known about it the whole time has been like, oh my God, I can't wait for the show to come out. So we have a few minutes. I don't want to keep you all night. We're going to keep it to an hour. We have about 12 minutes left. First thing, everyone that's still on, if you want to hit that tweet button and tweet it out, Facebook it out, share it for the last few minutes. I want to let some folks in that have been here. I think Stacy looks like she's calling in. Let me see if we can get her.
Stacy was one of our families, by the way. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Stacy was one of our families. Yes.
That's awesome. So she can give some real good insight.
Stacy's awesome and awesome. There she is. Hey, Stacy.
Hey,
there we go. We can hear.
Hi, Vincent. Nice.
Hey, Stacy. How's it going?
Good.
Thanks for joining in.
Yeah, this was a learning experience on a bunch of different levels.
Well, let me ask you. So you were one of the families. So how did that all feel? Like how did you guys go into that situation? What was the mindset? You kind of probably had an open mind, or like what was it like?
You know, it was surreal the way it kind of just fell in our laps. I won't even get into those details, but you know, it was just silly because Victor and I had met through one of our previous events in Orlando, and it was just, a quick pass in the night kind of thing. And all of a sudden, next thing we know, I was talking to my husband, and we're like, do we really want to pursue this? Because we were doing this Skype interview just as Victor had explained. And next thing they're like, we love your family. And I'm thinking, oh, I can't believe we even qualify for this. And so we just kind of went through the process. And when we got chosen, we were shocked. But we also went into it knowing absolutely 100% we were going to be transparent no matter what. I know that just like I can only see what Victor was going through, and that was just the one episode he was doing with us. But I can't imagine what he goes through doing the entire season. It was exhausting for 1 week. So God bless you, Victor. I don't know how you survived.
It was hard.
But it was a great experience. It was tough love, but it was good.
Oh, I might be losing.
Yeah, I think we're losing you, Stacy.
The connection might be bad, Stacy. You might be losing you.
Well,
yeah, I'm here.
You there? We can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just saying it was just tough love, but it was good. We definitely benefited from it. Life happens, and you feel like you're doing like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but no matter what, you take what Victor teaches you and you apply it to almost every area you possibly can in your life. And we've made huge progress, and that's awesome. That's what it's about. So he has totally changed our financial stability, and it was amazing.
That's awesome.
It was, we're spending, on average, thank you, Stacy. On average, I think we were there. I didn't realize people worked this hard on production crews. We were there for 10 to 14 hours per day.
Wow.
Per day, and then we were putting the family through this because they couldn't really get on with their lives because we're kind of in their business for a whole week like that. So it's hard on everybody. It's hard on us. It's hard on the family. And we just kind of push through. So it's hard.
That's great. Well, Stacy, are you excited do you know when your episode's going to air?
No, we don't even know. Yeah, we don't even know.
You guys don't know. Okay.
All these families keep asking me. I don't want to know.
They don't know.
So, yeah.
I'm curious. I wonder how many of them are telling their friends and family that they did it, or like if somehow their friends and family don't know. I wonder if they're telling that, if they're going to like promote the fact that they did it, or if they're not embarrassed, but it's just, maybe something they agreed to do the show, so they obviously are okay with it being public and out there. Not everybody's like that, though.
Well, let me just say, my brother to this day still doesn't know that we did this.
So Stacey, are you trying to avoid him from knowing? Are you going to tell him, or are you just going to let him maybe see the show, or what?
He's just a very private person. And my husband and I went into this just thinking, okay, who knows? Like in our situation, I mean, there's going to be somebody out there in America that's going to relate. That's why we were like, we're going in, we're going to be living in this fishbowl. We're going to be transparent, and it is what it is. For him, I want to respect his privacy. And so we didn't include him in on anything because he would probably come back and chew me out. But, it's just, we live our lives differently. And we thought, hey, if we can help somebody else out, that's what it's about. And I think that's where Victor's coming from. And there's, all these families in America that are struggling one way or another, especially in today's economy. And, like I said, life happens. And when Victor comes into your home and he breaks you down and they look at your finances and you structure, they're really coming in to help you, to come alongside you, to challenge you. They push you. There were tears on all of our parts. But it was a really good life learning experience, and it's definitely changed us. And we still, to this day, we're using the things that Victor has taught us.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And the value she mentioned,
the path changed, by the way, on this one. Can I say your career path changed a little bit?
What?
With the gig, I can't.
It was skipping out. What was that?
With your new job, you'll have to watch the episode.
Oh yeah,
it's cool. Let's watch the episode. So yeah,
awesome.
No spoilers. We're under contract.
So it turned out well, I think. And then congratulations on the planting of the church, by the way.
Thank you. It's going well.
That's awesome. Well, Stacey, thanks for hopping in. I'm gonna have I think Mike wants to jump in too. So thanks for hopping in.
All right. Thanks, Stacey.
Thanks. Bye, Victor.
And then let's I think Mike says he was on the show also.
Is this DJ Mike?
Is it DJ Mike Walter?
Yeah, man, was on the show.
We're gonna bring him in.
Mike was there.
Wow, am I on? What's up, Victor?
You're on, Michael. You're on.
How are you, Victor? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How's it going, Mike?
Very good, very good.
We brought Mike in because one of the families, and I don't think we're giving away too much. The husband's business, his main source of income was from the DJ business, right? So we wanted to bring in an expert, and I'll let Mike talk about his business, who can really assess that, because I'm not a DJ, so I can't assess how good or bad they're doing. Take it from there, Mike.
Well, I think that's one of the things I'm looking forward to with the whole series is that I don't know if you do that with every episode, but you are obviously a financial expert and can help families organize. But the fact that you bring in an expert from the family's field of what their job is, I think is a great idea. So I got to be on one. I own a successful DJ company here in New Jersey, and we were shooting. They were shooting fairly close, so they brought me in for that episode, and it was a great experience. I was chuckling when Victor was describing the trailer with the big screens, because that's where I spent most of that day waiting to get my moment on camera. But it was an amazing experience being a part of it. It really was.
It's tough because when we're bringing the experts in, it's like, and I'm sure Mike remembers the conversation. I was like, be real.
Right.
Nobody needs to hear. Do not hold back. Go after him. Do whatever you want. Because I think Mike was like, what can I say? No, just go in there and be you.
Right.
So, and he would tell you there is no script. There is no script. He just went in there and had the conversation. Mike?
Yeah. We had a number of conversations. I had a number of conversations with the gentleman, the father of the family, and there was no script at all. It was just analyze his business and see what you can do to help him improve. And we looked at a lot of his marketing and different ways he was approaching his business. And I think you said it was 10 out of 11 wins. I think our episode is going to be a win, right, Victor? The family did quite
yes,
well, I think.
It is a win.
Yeah.
It's a great win. Thanks to your help. I mean, he really stepped up because of you.
That's great to hear.
I think he knew you were watching or something, so that was good.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, so that helps when you bring in an expert, Vincent, like that, because I think it lends the show more credibility. You know, it's not about Victor being omnipotent, you know what I mean, knowing everything. It's about when I don't know something, we bring somebody in. And again, give credit to the production company, because these are the people that find guys like Mike to come in and help me out.
Yeah, there's some other shows that are out there that have a similar type of take on it, like the bar rescues of the world, right? Because that's what I thought of too when they bring in like the mixologist and the other people that the cook and all that. So it's sort of the same thing, right? Where they bring in someone that this is their expertise, you know.
You know. No, sorry, that was too easy.
Mixologist. Hey, Mike, listen, thanks for jumping in. We're gonna be ending this in a little bit, so
thanks
I
for
appreciate
having me.
you.
Victor, good seeing
Everybody
you.
keep an eye out for
Can't wait
Michael's
for the debut.
All right. We're on there. We're on there.
Can't wait.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, that was anyone that thinks that was planned. I didn't know that Stacy or Mike was going to be in here and that they were even on the show. That's reality Blab right there.
It is.
So yeah, I have to. There's one question that I got.
I think we lost you. All right, what happens when you lose your host on a Blab? That's an interesting question. So are you guys still there? I think you're still there. We just hang out. Oh, yes. Maybe he'll show up again. So anyway, let me see. I see a question here from Teddy Servini. Do you have any new techniques with blocking objections? The answer is no. How do you get traditional business-minded people to listen about MLM business? Not the appropriate forum to talk about that, but let's just say make it compelling. Let's see what else. Anybody else got a question until he comes back? Victor, we learned so much, but by the way, the show is really cool because it's you're going to learn so much from the show, but there's going to be tough times. I mean, I think in every episode, I mean, there was a lot of tears shed, and so you're going to see that it's part entertainment, but really there's a lot of education in there. So I think people learn a lot about finances. So I'm looking at the side here on the live chat. So if you have a question, now's the time to put it up there. The seat is locked. Do you have a co-host? No, I do not have a co-host. I fly solo on this one. Vince says, hold on, laughing out loud as I'm all by myself. I feel like I've been stood up. You know, what else can I tell you about the show? Long hours. I have a new respect, by the way, for reality TV series people. Let's see. Okay, some of you guys said, awesome. He said he's coming back because he lost his connection. What else can I tell you about the show? You're gonna learn a lot about money. You're gonna learn a lot about what people do and why they do the things they do. And I think you're gonna see yourself in it. I think if you have a family member on March 13th, have them watch the first episode rather. The first episode is really intense because it's about a family that's literally on the brink of divorce. And we had several of those families where, you know, one person is just ready to walk out. They're like, I'm done with this. I don't want to be here anymore. And so, you know, dealing with some of the personal issues. So people always ask me, so what's the show about? If I were to give you a synopsis of what this show includes, I have to be like Dr. Phil, right? I got to be a psychologist. I have to be like Dr. Drew sometimes. I have to be like the love doctor. And then I have to be like, I don't know, who else, like Dave Ramsey on the economic side, the finance side, and then maybe sprinkle in a little Tony Robbins. Add that all up, mix it in, and that's what I have to do. So it's a little bit of everything to deal with these families. So let me see, any other questions? I love what you said about 20% finance, 80% behavior. Hey, you correct your behavior, everything else falls into place. I think that's always the toughest part. Let me see, been excited. Vince, are you coming back or am I here by myself? How do you interview yourself? I feel schizophrenic right now. You've been punked, Victor. I love it. Oh, can't wait to see it. Other than that, you're okay. I'm glad you're enjoying this, Stacy. You're cracking up. Well, good. You're doing great. What else? So life or debt. So what else can I talk about? Different shows, the production company. Again, a big shout out to Tim and Mike Duffy. And by the way, just a personal note, after that, after I got like signed on to this contract, believe it or not, I got like 2 or 3 other offers to do reality shows, which was kind of weird. I must have gotten in some of these Rolodex, but this is not an easy business, by the way. This whole production thing, film thing is not an easy business. And working with families just makes it that much tougher and puts a harder twist on it. So let me see what else is going on. Hey, Vince, are you coming back? Let me see. How did the first season change you? Oh, man, that's such a good question, Stacey. Thank you very much. How did it change me? When I came back from my first episode, my wife said I was a little harder. I liked a little terse, you know, and she goes, I was really like, why, you know, that. But I think it made me more empathetic towards people and their problems right now. So I think when I see people struggling now, I think I'm a little more empathetic than I used to be, because I realize that the people that are in debt, you know, sometimes we have this image of people who are in debt as people who are just misguided or just, you know, throw caution to the wind and just spend money on anything. But again, what happens is with a lot of these families is that, you know, it happens slowly over time. One of my favorite stories, one of the favorite episodes I think we're going to see is a single mom. Yeah, we do a single mom. And this single mom had so many jobs that we had to transform her way of thinking before we could actually shift her. And her story is just simply amazing. So we did one single mom. We did one celebrity. We did a celebrity, and that was intense. The celebrity was intense, and that's another great episode. So I think we did a broad spectrum. Another question I get is that somebody asked me, do we just focus on people at a certain income level? And the answer is no. I mean, we're all over the place, low income to high income and everything in between. And guess what? They all have the same problems. You know what I mean? So I don't think Vince is coming back. So celebrity excited? Not really. Not really. People keep asking me, how do I feel about having my own show? And the reality is I don't know. We went through the process, so it's really hard. I don't know, but the thing is, it's one of those things where, I don't know, it's surreal. I'm being honest here. It's surreal. I mean, when you see your commercial on TV, it's like, you know, it's like, wow, that's me. But I think I'll enjoy this show if it goes out there into the world on March 13th and it helps a lot of people. You know what I mean? If it helps a lot of people, I think then I can say it was worth it. You know, but I think Vince is back. Yes, there he is. All right.
There we go.
Myself. I have to
over here. Okay.
Sorry about that. About the premiere. The family's excited, cautiously excited, but I don't know. If you met my wife, you know, it's like, here's how our household is. My wife is like this. She's steady like this. No matter what happens in our lives, my wife is steady. Me, I'm this. Up and down. And my wife is just like, my wife was like, oh, nice show. Oh, that looks really good. That was my wife. It wasn't like, no, you don't know my wife. It's that girl back there somewhere, right there. That one right there. All right, Vince, where we're at.
Hey, man, I apologize for that. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. I apologize for that. Okay.
I have 80 other friends to hang out with. That was good. But, thank you guys for hanging in there with me.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you doing at 9 o'clock, right?
We're still hanging out.
So like I said, I don't want to keep you on that. I appreciate you hanging in there while I was out of there and answering people's questions and everything. And I saw my wife pop in there asking about separate bank accounts. MC Salma, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever tee means. What? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I had a question that came in about let me see here, about how does a single mom do it with kids? It's kind of more like a generic question about, you know, what type of advice do you have? And I know you're not, you know, putting yourself out there as the financial expert or anything like that, but if this, and I'm sure this situation may have come up, it's, you know, a single mom with kids and she's just asking what can she do, what type of strategies or philosophies would you have without having any of the information, obviously, which you normally have for the show.
Yeah, it's tough without having, but I mentioned while you abandoned me that we did a single mom. Sorry, I had to go there on that one.
I deserve it.
So we did a single mom, and her turnaround story is just amazing. Like I said, it's in my top 3 episodes.
Awesome.
And so she had so many different jobs. She has 2 kids. And I mean, it was just amazing. And we put her through a process. And man, wait till you see what we did to that girl, that lady. When we do the test where we try to stress them out, what we did for her, it was so unique and so different that trust me, you haven't seen it. It's amazing. And that test that we put her through, man, it just woke her up. I mean, first of all, it broke her down.
Yeah.
Woke up. And then she was able to put a plan together. We kind of put a plan together for her. And right now, it is, I can't tell you the numbers, but she has just, 180. Like that way, now we're going that way. I mean, she just totally turned it around. And I thought for sure she'd be on here, but she's not. But yeah, Heather's story is just a powerful story. If you're a single mom, you're going to love that story.
That's awesome. And with that being said, it's not, I mean, in her case, it sounds like it may have been she was maybe mismanaging or not having priorities straight. Whereas there's a lot of single moms and parents out there that are just, that's not the problem. The problem is maybe they don't make enough or that sort of a thing.
Well, we taught her that, first of all, let's focus in on something, right? Yeah. Once we go out to focus in, I don't want to get too much away. And then it's almost like she needed somebody to kind of just, I don't want to say slap her in the head and just kind of say, wake up. It's right there.
The intervention.
Yeah, it's intervention. I said, move right there. And she fought, but then when we put it through the test, like that, like a switch goes off or something. It's really amazing. And then she worked the plan for like 90 days. Mm-hmm. Something I know I'm not giving away is sometimes we assign the families, the family around the family. For example, the mothers, the fathers of the couples, right? Their parents, their grandparents, whatever.
Yep.
And we assign a board of directors. These are people who monitor them while we're gone. So we call them the board of directors. So every family, we assign a board of directors. And these are people who keep them in line while I'm gone for 90 days. And this single mom every week would hold a meeting with her board of directors to let them know what the progress was. And it was just amazing. She literally followed the plan. I mean, awesome. She literally dot by dot by dot, and her financial situation is so flipped. It's incredible. It's a beautiful story.
Going forward, because now you filmed all these episodes, it's about to premiere March 13th on a Sunday night.
Yep. After Bar Rescue. Sorry, it's at 10 o'clock Eastern time. It's a little late.
Well, no, but I think people are first of all, people are up watching those shows sometimes, but also it's the DVR era.
Yeah.
It's DVR era. It's DVR era, and it might even start there, and then when it gets super popular, they're gonna have to move it into the prime time.
We're hoping. By the way, This question here is: how do you decide who you will help? I don't decide. A casting company does
that. The show premieres Sunday, March 13th. We're in a DVR era. We're also in an online internet era. So there'll be clips. There'll be viral, potentially viral clips. People will be sharing stuff. The Spike will be sharing stuff. We'll all be supporting it, of course. I did see something interesting. Was there's an app?
I just put out an app. I just developed a nice little app. So if you go to my website or on Facebook page, you'll see the app. Or maybe you can post the links, Vincent.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool. It's a little financial calculator. It tells you how much your mortgage payments are, your car payments are, student loans. My favorite one on there, it's a little cheesy function, but it's tip and splits. You ever go out to eat with 5 people and you don't know how to split the tip?
Oh, my wife, she loves that.
So that's in that program. But it's just a way to calculate. But I have something called an amortization table in there. So if you buy a house, car, or loan, it tells you what you're really paying for, or what you really paid over the length of that loan. So if it's a 30-year loan, you're going to realize how much you've paid. If you take out a car loan, you realize it's going to cost you that much. So it's kind of, the app is meant to create an awareness how much you're really spending on something. Mm-hmm. Thank you for bringing it up. Totally forgot about that. And it's free, Bob.
Yeah, it's free. I downloaded it. Let's see. I bet I can.
Yeah, it's a simple app. I mean, it's a really nice. It's free. I thought something simple, something cool. Hey, I know that dude. Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that stylish guy.
Yeah.
And then you hit enter and buy a crib, buy a car.
Yeah.
Load Shark Tip and split. That's cool, man. I downloaded it and I just put the links in the comments. The first link I didn't label it, but that's the Apple iOS Apple Store, and then the second one is the Android app. Yeah, of course. Least I could do. So, Victor, how can people get in touch with you, follow you, reach you, all that?
Facebook page is probably the easiest one. I like to hang out there a lot. So if you go to facebook.com/the Victor Antonio. The Victor Antonio. So facebook.com/the Victor Antonio. I would invite you to be one of my friends, but I've hit the 5,000 limit. Sorry. But yeah, it's just as good, man. But cool. That's it. So I'm excited. Like I said, I'm really excited about the show, and I'm just excited, man. It's
look, I think we're all excited. Honestly,
all this work is like, all right. I feel like, and I think the mothers out there will be able to relate to what I'm about to say. I've been carrying this baby around for almost 2 years. I am so ready to birth this thing. Ladies, I know I can't really understand your pain, but I think I'm close to it. It's like, just go out there already. Just do it. So
that's a great analogy. Yeah, I don't know if the pain is quite the same.
No way. I'm not even comparing the pain. Just that whole, I'm tired of this. Just put it out there already.
Last question. What are you doing? You didn't answer this yet, right? What are you doing for the night of the premiere?
If you're in the Atlanta area, we're having a premiere party here. So it's at House Grill. Nice little steakhouse, got a private room off to the side. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll see a little advertisement there. So, it's gonna be a casual time. It's from 8 to 11, and we're just gonna be chilling, hanging out, And if you're in the area, especially if you're in the Roswell, Alpharetta area, Marietta, so come on down. It's free. Just hang out. We can take a picture together. What the heck?
Yeah, absolutely. Post it, share it everywhere. Say I'm with the star of Life or Debt. I mean, that's how you do it, man.
I'm the guy from Life or Debt. I don't know about the star thing. So it's like I said, it's going to be interesting. It's I remember about a month ago, the production guy called me up. I think it was Tim Duffy, and he just wanted to talk to me. He said, I just want you to be prepared. You might not be able to walk through the airport without being stopped. And I said, he just kind of mentally just walked me through that. So
I agree, Victor. And a lot of it is, I think, not just because of the show, but because you have a recognizability about you.
I thought I looked like everybody else.
Man, the bald head. I mean, I think that's why a lot of these guys that do the show shave their head or have a bald head. It's on purpose.
I'm not buying that.
But yeah, man, I totally see. I totally expect big things, and I'm really, really grateful that you came on the show, came on the Blab with me, and took some time out and talked to some people. I
dig this Blab thing.
It's fun, right?
I like the whole control panel thing here. You can see everything, like typing on the left.
Right? And there's new things coming all the time. And just so you know, I mean, some people will talk a little down about it, but in terms of different things. But this was my user error. Basically, my laptop died, and I had to run back and connect it. So it was nothing with the platform. The platform actually worked really well. So yeah, it's a great way to connect with people.
This is cool. Yeah. I like it. Like I said, maybe we can do a mid-season chat.
Yeah, I love to.
Get some feedback of what's happening in the world. So cool.
Yeah, if you're up for it, absolutely. We'll put it down.
Like my one hope is that whether this goes for 5 seasons or maybe if it's the only season. People ask me this question: what if it doesn't get renewed? I don't care. If we have one season in the bag, which we do, and these 11 episodes, as Stacy points out, helps other families, win column. As far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
So, my ego is totally detached from this thing. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's more about the show being successful, that we help people. And it's not about, Victor, celebrity and all that crap. Yeah. It's not even entering that part of my brain. I just want, we all want to impact lives, right? We all want to help people. And so I've been fortunate enough to be given this platform to do that. And that's really the reward I want. That somebody calls me up and says, you really helped me. That was cool, Victor. I saw the show that really impacted me. That to me is what those are the accolades I want.
It seems like, absolutely. It seems like that will happen. I mean, I haven't seen a show, but I've seen previews, and from you talking about it, I mean, it certainly seems like, number one, the 10 or 11 families that you've actually worked with, they're helped. And then this reach that's scaling out to whoever sees it, whether it's in, first run or reruns, or whatever video you see online. I mean, the one thing that you kind of recommend to people, or that one of your experts recommends to the family, that may be the one thing that helps someone or a family get out of a crisis.
Absolutely.
You never know. So
I think having that reach, and we thank Spike TV for that. And by the way, Spike TV has been like really supportive, even after we finish production, even in the promotion of the show and everything else. Spike TV has just been, the people there are just excellent to work with, so they've been really nice. So they work hard. People in the production industry, the film industry, work really hard. This stuff is not as easy as most people think.
Yeah.
People work hard, and so I have to respect them. They work hard.
Totally agree. Well, like I said, Victor, I really appreciate you coming on, and I know the viewers appreciated it, and would love to do a mid-season blab with you at some point during that time, and wish you the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vincent. Thank you, everybody out there. Thank you for hanging in there with me.
Thank you for not bailing when I bailed for a few minutes.
All right.
But yeah, thanks again.
All right.